Ewidewangide, all my relations. We're getting ready to start now, and I'd like to call everybody in and give your kind attention to my relative, Steve Tamayo. He's going to do the opening prayer this morning. So I say, Wiblaha, thank you.
Mataki pia petukile me chante ta wogla ke hana pe choose uplo. Amacha Sicangu Lakota echele tiwahe ta sampe oyanke. I'm a member of the Rosebud Sioux tribe from Rosebud, South Dakota. Echele tiwahe ta sampe oyanke. My family comes from a small little community called Milks Camp. And so our community is so old that we're not even on the main reservation that you look at on a map. My community, my Oyanke, is in between the Rosebud Reservation and the Ihonktoa Reservation. So we're smack in the middle, way out in the sticks. And this is where we've been for hundreds of years, way before the Rosebud proper was created. And so this is an introduction of just who I am and where I come from, which is a common practice for all indigenous people. One thing about today is a lot of our relatives have not taken the time to understand your own languages. This is what differentiates who we are. For all of our relatives who speak your native language, I applaud you because of the commitment, the perseverance it takes. I grew up as a Mexicano. My last name is Tamayo. My dad's name is Fortunato. Understanding the relationship of the curandera, of my grandmother as a healer, was a practice of indigenous people. My grandmother comes from the mountains of Monterrey, Mexico. My grandfather comes from Montemores. My mother is from the Rosebud Reservation, who was stolen, whose identity was stolen. And this is a common practice in the United States. This is the same story for all of my indigenous relatives here. I am the founder of Bluebird Cultural Initiative. My daughter is the executive director of that nonprofit organization. And the basis of that organization is revitalization of the culture. It's still here. We just need to wake it up. It's been sleeping for a long time. It's been waiting for each and every one of you to pick it up, to understand. One thing about this room, this is a beautiful room. But focus on your sichun. In the Lakota language, your sichun is your gift. What is your passion? This explains why we have musicians and scientists, mathematicians, artists. This is their sichun. Some people have the ability to communicate with their voice. And so, quite often, we talk about what is truly sacred. And what is sacred to all people, not only indigenous people, is understanding understanding the importance of our food, of nourishment, of energy. This is what we need to continue on. Also the saying, even on that sidewalk, mini wichoni, water is life. So now we have food, now we have water. Understanding understanding your voice and how powerful your voice is. I stopped in yesterday during my lunch break to listen to these powerful beings that were up on the stage. I cannot thank you enough for the words that you shared. It was very inspiring and eye-opening. This is an honor and a privilege to speak before you. Usually I'm on the ground, right in the middle. This is where these things should be. But in today's world, this is how it is. And so I brought some gifts, understanding the importance of woyute, of mini, but also understanding the importance of your voice and how powerful it is as a tool. Do not be afraid to understand and pick up a word of your own language, of your own ancestors. In this ceremony, I will speak the Lakota language. Because when you speak your own language, this is how you communicate to your ancestors. Because our ancestors don't speak Echele Iyeshka. They don't speak the language of the white people. They don't speak that foreign language that was brought here and forced upon us. Understand the importance of Lakota Woglake, Umaha Iye. This is how important your own language, your own self-identity. It helps you with your own self-confidence, your own self-esteem. Today, I'm happy to say that I'm the cultural specialist for Omaha Public Schools. I create very specific lesson plans pertaining to a way of life. I share this with all of my teachers, whoever takes the time to ask. Because Indigenous people, we just don't go in front of people. I was asked to be here. Yesterday, I wanted to see and witness, because that's what and how we are. We are like Te. We are like Ta. This is the buffalo that are very curious about our surroundings. The most important thing to understand is our Changleshka, our Hutunga, our circles, and how important they are because of our Tipestelas, our Inipi, that structure of a sweat lodge. Look at all of our arenas that open up to the east, because this is how we start our day. But we are not the same. I want to welcome you to the lands of the Omaha people, because they have been here for hundreds and hundreds of years. I'm proud to understand and to be adopted through a ceremony that we call Hunkatapi. This is gathering kinship, strengthens our families. This is done in every indigenous place. We adopt people. I've been adopted into the Omaha people. I have 2 moms that have journeyed on. But their kids, my grandkids, understand the importance of that relationship. And so I will never forget my 2 moms that have ventured on. I will never forget my own blood mother who has passed on. I just lost another one a few months ago. And so we travel this road. Sometimes we travel this alone, just like my relative here. I can't thank Renee for utilizing her voice as a tool to help, to encourage, to enlighten, to strengthen that next generation. She does some amazing work over towards Lincoln. There are people here that are doing amazing work. As I look out into this room, I see all of the indigenous people that exist all over the world. And I often tell my relatives, when I talk about the indigenous people, that is a worldwide concept. Look at the bands and the clans that exist all over the world. Look at all the tribal nations. This is what's beautiful about this. So this is my introduction. Quite often when I'm asked to offer a prayer, they're like, you have 5 minutes. This is why Indian people do not wear watches. Because we don't care. If we have the opportunity to share, we will share. I was asked to be here. And so, in doing so, I asked my Takoja to come up. He's going to help us and sing a prayer song for us with this chanchega, with this drum. This is a tool. This is an instrument all over the world. This is the heartbeat of the people. This is why this is the oldest instrument known to man. All over the world, we utilize this. In the lands of the Omaha people, our wa'us are restricted. They're not allowed to touch that drum. In Lakota country, we have women who drum because they live as men. We have always accepted our lesbian gay. They were born that way. They are our special relatives. When we talk about the two-spirit people, those are the people that we need for our ceremonies, for our namings, for our markings. But they have to understand, they have to understand the language to communicate with the ancestors, to create the food, to find the food as foragers, to find the drinks, to understand the importance of the order of songs that coincide with our ceremonies. So when I talk about the two-spirited people, I'm talking about our spiritual people. And so there are many circles in all of our lives. On the outside, it was all of the males, and then all of the females, then all of our elders, our grandmas and grandpas. And then in the center is the Wakayja, the Wichichila, the Hokshila, our little ones that we try to protect. Unfortunately, the predators are outside of those circles. Back in the day, they were the wolves. But we look at alcohol and drugs as those predators. We look at those pedophiles as predators. When will we come to terms? When will we stand up for our babies? I am happy to see my babies back there. My oldest and my youngest are back there. And this is very heartwarming. And so at this time, I want to have my takoja come up and offer a song. And we can burn sage in here, right? Oh, washtido. That's a Uda day, man. Okay, so I'm gonna light up my tuki. My tuki is my shell. There's a reason why we utilize this shell, because it's the relationship of the land and the water. It's the duality that we often speak of. Just like Eon. Eon is the rock. No filming. No documentation.
Separates us.
What differentiates
This
who
is
we
meant
are is our language, our customs, our traditions, our rituals, our adornment, our dress. The commonality here is when we speak our language, there are certain words that are very similar all over the world. I was visiting with this lady from Africa, speaking, utilizing our language. And she's like, what? Because we're related. Linguistically, we are related. Think about how old our language is. Our language is older than our tribal nations. Think about that. I come from the burnt thigh people. Himacha Sicangu Lakota. Lakota is the language I speak. Sicangu is the band that I come from. Ta'asampe Oyanke is my small little community. And so I wanted to share these words. I want to say Wibloho. I want to say Piniagagi. Muchas gracias. Pilami Apolo. Thank you for allowing me to have this time. I have some gifts here that I want to distribute. And then I got to bounce because I have a job. But I'm happy that my supervisor understands the importance of this way of life. We call it Wichon. Wichon is a way of life. I offered a prayer and a blessing for this Woyute. This young lady is amazing with the food that exists. And because of that, yes, please give her a nice round of applause. I wanted to show my gratitude because I am a forager. I'm not a farmer. Lakotas have never farmed. We are foragers. We find the food that we need. And it might be four-leggeds. It might be from the Zingtala, from the bird nation. But more likely it's the Echelepejuta. Okay. It's from the roots. Because we are the grassroots people. We have always been here. We are still here. Right here is evidence of Umahas that are still here. Understand the importance of this place. Wherever you step, you are on the lands of our ancestors. That is my land acknowledgement. Wherever you step, you are on the land of our ancestors. We call this place Kiamakoche because we belong to the Wichakfeoyate. We belong to the star people. When we come here as Nagila, as a spirit, as a soul, we see that we're going back to Turtle Island, with Mexico being the Sente, that tail. Florida, Baja California, Mexico are the legs. As they go up both coasts, that's the extension of the other legs. If you look at the continent, you look at the map, how the neck comes in, that Nata is there, which is the Arctic. This is why we call this place Kiamakoche. But we knew this way before scientists, way before colonizers made their way here. We understand the plants like nobody else. Stacy understands the plants because she's taken the time. And because of that, I brought some buffalo to share with you. I brought some washtunkala. This is our dried corn. I brought the chakpa, our choke cherries. And so here is a bag of goodies for you. Please have a seat. Get comfy. Put your chair up there. Where is Mr. Luis? Bummer. I would like to call up Pat Whitebear. This is one of our grandmas for an organization here in the Omaha area called Tired Moccasins. This is my pejihota that we harvested in the lands of the Lakota people because we need this. When we say our prayers, the 4 plants that we utilize, when that smoke goes up, it takes our prayers, our thoughts, our emotions. This is why we burn the plants that we do. Most people don't understand the importance of our rituals, of our ceremonies. Be a part of it. Don't be afraid of it. But you have to think about who you are and where you come from and what plants do you utilize. Like my Omaha relatives, they utilize that Hante Blasco, that flat cedar. And understanding that, I brought some plants to share with my niece because I think I'm older than you. Just saying. And with that, I brought some medicine. This is Mato Pejuta. This is bear root that we need for upper respiratory. When we burn this, we inhale and it helps. Before you could come to my house way back in the day during this pandemic, that was the test to come into my house. Because if you couldn't breathe it in, you couldn't taste it, you couldn't smell it. I'm like, just talk to me through the window. I also brought some chanshishala. For those of you who know what this is one of our most powerful medicines that we also burn to cleanse our heart, mind, body, and soul, and the environment. I also brought some Sinkpe Pejuta, which is our bitter root, that me and my Takoja harvest quite often, because we have to go into the swamps and dig for the root that extends out and branches out. Once again, we're foragers. We find this because it still exists. We're just trying to share what we know and what we have. We also have, this is funny, our Chashasha. This is our red willow. This is our Kaniknik, Echelachonli. This is our tobacco. This is our Timsila. Wild turnips that we get to share. And the last plant I want to share with my niece is the Oshni Ponca, Wagamiza. This is our Ponca corn. And the reason why I have this corn is because I am one of those pipeline fighters. This was a tool. This was a relative that we used, that we acknowledge as the seeds of resistance that stopped the KXL. We planted it in the path of that pipeline. Yesterday, I was glad to hear that during our migration, it was systematically planned. In the history books, we're out wandering around lost. Because they don't know who we are. When I go into the schools, I love social studies teachers because American history is not our history. And tell everybody that. But I'd like to ask my niece to come up and gather all of the Pejuta Oyate. Renee. Next, I would like to call up another activist, Mr. Mahmoud. Vempaka. Anaknyo. Come on down, as they say in English. This is just Wakan Cologne, because he is that. And so my niece makes this ointments, these salves from Lakota Made. Look that up, because she deals with the plants and makes a lot of salves and ointments and lip balm and you name it. But this is a man's item that he needs, because I have traveled the country. Way before I met him, I looked into the audience and I would always see him. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there he is again. And it didn't matter where I went. In the country, I would be in D.C., I would be all over the place, and there he was. I was like, who is this guy? So we finally got to meet, to become relatives. And I can't tell you how powerful his voice is, because this young man is amazing. And once again, I've traveled the country, and there he was, because he stands up for environmental rights, for the importance of our voice, because what's happened to us has happened to him and his family and his relatives, because he's not from here. He's from a land far away. Take the time to introduce yourself to him, to listen to his story, because it's amazing. And so I want to say, Pilamiafula, thank you. I hope. And then there's this little grandpa that I met a long time ago. And he knows the importance of education. I'd like to call up Dr. Rudy Mitchell. One thing about adornment, as you can see around my neck, is the importance of our beads. These are trade beads that were brought here. Indian people never made glass beads. Our adornment was quill work. And so I want to gift you with this bolo. Oh, stay. Is Michelle here? Blackbird? Sorry, don't have my glasses on. And so I had the opportunity to help Creighton University, the Joslin Museum, create curriculum for our next generation. Not only Indigenous people, but to go through the Carl Bodmer collection and create curriculum. And this is where I met this young lady as an educator. And so I wanted to gift you some of our medicines. So once again, this is our Hante Blaska that she can utilize when she goes back home to the land of Omaha people, but also some of our medicines that my niece makes all the time. And then this young lady, where did she go? She was sitting right there. She gave that speech yesterday when I was here during my lunch. There she is. Can you please come up? Because I brought you some of our medicine. This is a salve that we make out of our plants for scratches and bites, burns. This is inflammatory salves that we utilize. I want to thank you for your words because that was very touching and moving. And once again, we are all indigenous. Never, ever forget that. I want to say Pilami Apolo. Thank you. And then the last item I have is for Mr. Luis. I'll tie this up. Is there somebody here that I can gift this to so that you can give to him? And what this is one of our family feathers that we hold very sacred, that we hold on to. And so, is this the better half? Even better. This is our food, our nourishment. Once again, I want to thank you. I want to say Pilame Apollo for this time to share, to help, to educate, to speak about this existence because we are still here. And once again, this is our spirit plate. And when we make our spirit plates, we take it outside because all indigenous people understand the importance of reincarnation. We come here as a spirit. The last stage of life for us is Echelewanageke. This is when we leave our shell. Our soul goes back up. Our spirit goes back up to the Creator. Not heaven. Back up to Makpia Oyate. Echelewichakpe Oyate. Back up into the skies. As a Mexicano, I was forced to understand a religion that was brought here. Later on in life, I chose to live this way by choice, but understanding the perseverance, the commitment, the time that it takes to understand your language, your rituals, and your ceremonies. Take the time. Don't blame the white man. I can't speak my language because of the white man. Put that shit aside. Stand up. Utilize your voice. That knowledge is here. Don't blame. The knowledge is here. I'm glad my takojas and my daughters, they live this way in many circles. I tried to dance, and I was terrible. It's like, I'm going to sit down on that drum. I'm going to learn how to sing. That was even worse. Because I focused then on my sichung, my gift as a traditional artist. And following that path, I understand the complexity of adornment, of 1,000 nations, of at least 11 different regions. This is the importance of who we are on Kiama Koche. Once again, thank you for this time. I hope you enjoyed our ceremony, our ritual. Once again, I am the founder of Bluebird Cultural Initiative. If you want to learn more about Bluebird, speak to my daughter. Speak to my grandson. Pilami aplo. Ho hechatuila. Now we're going to have to play hand game.
Weeblaha to Uncle Steve, Lekshi, oh gosh. And thank you so much, for your opening prayer and for your good words. And right now, I'd like to pass the mic over to my relative here, Stacy, Laravie.
Latia ida wanga de ijaje wiwitke Stacy Laravie Ponca ijaje make. Hello all my relatives. My name is Stacy Laravie. My Ponca inherit name is Star. I'm a Ponca woman, matriarch, mother, seed keeper, land steward, many other different roles. A mother first and foremost. I also prepared both days' breakfasts, and so thank you. But I wanted to briefly go over my history, and then I just wanted to talk about the food real quick, and I'll make it brief. I know everyone's hungry. So my background, I grew up along the Ponca Creek, the Niobrara River, and the Missouri River. And I'm a hunter, a fisher, forager, everything. That is how we lived. That is how we sustained ourselves. We also preserved foods. My father taught us the old food ways, as well as my great-grandfather, who is Machunijin's grandson, Chief Standing Bear's grandson. And he's my bloodline. So it's very important to me. It's my inherent responsibility and duty to do what I can for my people and for all Indigenous people and relatives. And part of that is nourishing the body, mind, spirit. And now we're in a time where we need to start bringing these things back. And that's one part of planting seeds and building those gardens within your homes. So one thing I've been trying to do, or one of the many things I've been trying to do for the Ponca people, is bring back our old foodways. And I had this knowledge all my life, and I feel very responsible that I am to show those ways, because it's what's going to heal us inside and out. So I try my hardest to find foods and to eat as close to what our DNA wants us to have. I've actually, on my journey, I've actually lost close to 30 pounds just over my couple years because I had 2 rounds of cancer in the last decade. And these foods saved my life. Even the bone broths from our bison and the fish, and I mean, there's so many things. I mean, I can go on about the testimony of this food. So today I made some power balls, which the backstory of those is my son is a wrestler, and the coach actually got tired of the wrestlers eating crap, you know, between their sets. And I'm like, okay, I can make these power balls. And so I started making these power balls. And then I started making pemmican for the team. And then I started making different healthy foods that I'm used to. And so now that is what I do every meet. I make all these snacks for in between and pack lunches. And this is a predominantly white school. So just through food, I am able to introduce the culture to the community. And then I also have some wild rice and grains. That's, it's kind of like you put your own toppings on, and that's basically it, and your typical fruit. So I know everyone's hungry, so have at it. Elders first, please, and just take just enough to nourish your body, and then you can feast on more once everyone's through. Walataya.